In a shocking turn of events, Peter Mandelson, Britain's notorious Prince of Darkness, is stepping into the international spotlight. After decades of scandals and comebacks, his latest move has Washington buzzing. But here's what's raising eyebrows. A $373,000 secret that could turn US UK relations upside down. Think you know the whole story? His controversial nickname isn't just for show. Behind closed doors in London's power circles, this master of political chess managed to keep one move hidden until now. The undisclosed loan that first brought him down wasn't just about money. It exposed a web of connections reaching from London's elite straight to Washington's corridors of power. As America prepares for his arrival as Britain's new ambassador, this decades-old scandal isn't just history, it's a preview of what's coming. The real question isn't about his past, it's about what he might do next. Because in the world of international diplomacy, old secrets have a way of shaping new alliances. The clock is ticking on what could be the most controversial diplomatic appointment in recent history. And if history tells us anything, Mandelson's first 100 days in Washington will be anything but ordinary. Before he became Britain's most controversial political figure, Peter Mandelson started as a TV producer at London Weekend Television. By age 32, he had already transformed the Labour Party's image, turning a failing opposition into a media powerhouse. His genius, making the unelectable electable. But power came with a price. The nickname Prince of Darkness stuck after journalists caught him working late nights, orchestrating political takedowns from the shadows. Some say he earned it by ending careers with just a whispered word in the right ear. Others point to his ability to resurrect his own career, no matter how deep the scandal. Then came 1998. As Secretary of State for Trade and Industry, Mandelson kept a dangerous secret: a £373,000 loan from fellow MP Geoffrey Robinson. The twist: Robinson's business dealings were under investigation by Mandelson's own department. When the truth emerged, it wasn't just the loan that sparked outrage, it was the cover-up. He'd hidden it from his mortgage lender, his colleagues, and the public. The scandal forced his first resignation from the cabinet. Most politicians would have vanished into obscurity. But Mandelson? He was back in power within months, and that's when things got really interesting. Mandelson's second act revealed just how deep his political connections ran. In 2001, barely a year after his comeback as Northern Ireland Secretary, a new scandal erupted that would expose the dangerous intersection of money, power, and citizenship. At the centre, Indian billionaire Srichand Hinduja and Britain's prestigious Millennium Dome project. The allegation? That Mandelson had fast-tracked Hinduja's British passport application in exchange for a £1 million donation to the Dome's faith zone. What made this particularly explosive wasn't just the alleged deal. It was Mandelson's response. Initially, he claimed his private secretary handled everything. Then came the smoking gun. Phone records showing Mandelson personally called Home Office Minister Mike O'Brien about the passport. This revelation sent shockwaves through Westminster, forcing even his closest allies to question his credibility. His trusted friend and government spokesman Alistair Campbell found himself entangled in a web of contradictions, trying to explain away the inconsistencies. The scandal cut deeper than previous controversies because it touched on fundamental questions of British citizenship itself. Could someone effectively buy their way into the country through political connections? The public outcry was immediate and fierce. Yet somehow Mandelson's political instincts told him to do something unprecedented. Instead of denying everything, he chose to resign for a second time. But in classic Mandelson style, even this resignation was calculated. He knew something others didn't. In politics, no exit is ever truly final. Power has its perks, and no one understood this better than Mandelson during his tenure as European Trade Commissioner. New Year's Eve 2008 found him aboard the luxury yacht of Microsoft co-founder Paul Allen. The timing couldn't have been worse. Microsoft was facing a major EU antitrust investigation. While Mandelson claimed coincidence, the optics spelled disaster. This yacht incident opened the floodgates to scrutiny of his lifestyle. Just months later, the Daily Telegraph uncovered that he had billed British taxpayers £3,000 for work on his Hartlepool constituency home, conveniently timed just days before announcing his departure as MP. While technically within parliamentary rules, The revelations sparked public outrage about politicians exploiting the system. But the true measure of his influence emerged through his business dealings. As a consultant for Asia Pulp and Paper, he navigated controversy surrounding illegal logging accusations. His client list grew to include corporations under regulatory scrutiny, the very ones he once would have overseen. The pattern was clear. Wherever there was controversy, Mandelson found opportunity. The most damaging association, however, emerged through flight logs and social connections, linking him to Jeffrey Epstein. While many politicians distanced themselves from the scandal, Mandelson's name appeared in documents that raised troubling questions about judgment and association. These revelations would later cast a shadow over his diplomatic appointments. The web of influence Mandelson wove extended far beyond British shores. His role as informal advisor to Labour leader Keir Starmer raised concerns about the return of new Labour corporate politics. Yet it was his lesser-known activities that truly revealed his power network. Behind closed doors, Mandelson shaped policy through his strategic consulting firm, Global Counsel. The firm's client list read like a who's who of international business: Russian oligarchs seeking Western influence, Chinese tech companies requiring European access, and American corporations navigating Brexit. While legal, these connections posed questions about divided loyalties. His influence in Westminster never truly waned. Even after public scandals, he maintained direct lines to prime ministers and party leaders. Parliamentary records show he attended over 200 private meetings with senior government officials between 2010 and 2020, despite holding no official position. These informal discussions often preceded major policy shifts in international trade and financial regulations. Perhaps most concerning were his connections to state-affiliated business groups in countries with competing interests to the UK. Through his consultancy work, he simultaneously advised companies from nations often at odds with British foreign policy. This complex network of relationships now follows him to Washington, where as ambassador, he'll need to navigate these competing interests while representing British priorities. The timing of his appointment raises another crucial question. Was this a strategic move to leverage his connections, or an attempt to distance him from emerging controversies in London? The answer may lie in a series of undisclosed meetings that took place just months before his nomination. Mandelson's appointment as US ambassador comes at a pivotal moment for UK-US relations. His mixed history with Trump, criticisms of US trade policies, and controversial business ties create immediate challenges. The State Department's muted response hints at deeper concerns, particularly regarding his connections to Chinese tech firms and Russian interests. These relationships could impact critical negotiations on intelligence sharing and defense cooperation. His influence is already visible. 3 major trade deals have accelerated since his appointment leaked. Yet his complex network of business relationships raises questions. Will his extensive contacts help secure British interests, or compromise them? What's clear is this. As Britain's new ambassador steps into Washington's spotlight, he brings both unprecedented diplomatic connections and potentially dangerous baggage. The success or failure of this gamble could reshape the special relationship for years to come. History shows that Mandelson's career defies prediction. He's fallen from grace repeatedly, yet each time emerged more influential than before. Now, as he heads to Washington, the stakes aren't just personal, they're global. Will the Prince of Darkness transform into America's most valuable British ally? Or will his past finally catch up with his ambitions? The next few months will reveal whether this master of political resurrection can pull off his greatest comeback yet. The story's far from over. Keep up with every development in international politics by hitting subscribe. Drop your predictions about Mandelson's Washington performance below. Your insights might just predict the next major diplomatic shift. And if you found this analysis valuable, that like button helps more people discover the real stories shaping global politics.